I'd like to welcome you to this study of the book of 2 Thessalonians. Today we're in the second chapter, and we're going to go to verse number 4. Now, the Apostle Paul is teaching us about a person that's going to come. And let me remind you that this is going to happen after the rapture of the church. I've run into believers that are afraid of the Antichrist. Let me tell you something. We don't need to be afraid of the Antichrist. In fact, as the church up to this point, we need to be opposing the Antichrist. We need to be opposing this spirit of lawlessness. We need to be opposing this son of destruction, as the Apostle Paul calls him in verse number 3. We as the church need to be in a place of opposition to the powers of darkness. But just as soon as the church is out of here, just as soon as the church is raptured, you know what's going to happen? He is going to find no opposition, and he is going to take the place of being the ruler of the world. Now let's go to verse 4. Again, we're in 2 Thessalonians, the second chapter, verse number 4. I hope that you're reading along with me. I'm reading out of the New American Standard Version. It's just one of the great translations of the Bible. And this is what it says. Who opposes and exalts himself above every so-called God and object of worship. Now let's just stop right there. Let me say this. Give this teaching to your friends who aren't believers. Because one of the most disastrous things that they could do is become a follower of the Antichrist. It's going to be a decision that they're going to need to make. They're going to come and they're going to take the mark of the beast. And they're going to come in support of the Antichrist. If they know what to look for, you know what? They're going to say, well, you know what? My friend is gone. He's been raptured. He's been taken away. But now he told me about this man called the Antichrist. And this is what I'm looking for. First of all, he's a son of destruction. He's also a man of lawlessness. But also he is a person that is going to oppose and exalt himself. Now notice the two different words here. The Antichrist is going to oppose anything that's called God. The Antichrist, that spirit of the Antichrist is in the world today. Now the Antichrist, he may be alive today, but he's not revealed yet. But that spirit is here in the world today, and they're opposing Christianity. You know, we shouldn't be shocked by the opposition of Christianity. Now, we should be shocked here in the United States because the United States was founded upon Christian principles. It's what's made this nation the greatest nation on the face of the earth. But you know what? The devil and his people are always out to oppose the church, to limit the church, to push against the church, to tell the church you can't do this and you can't do that. Well, then we as the church need to be opposing this spirit of the Antichrist. So understand here that the Apostle Paul says, who opposes, and then not only does he oppose, but he exalts himself above every so-called God and object of worship. There's going to come a day, I believe it's 3.5 years into the tribulation, where the Antichrist is going to go to the temple, and he is going to do a blasphemy. In other words, he's going to do an act that's absolutely insulting to God. and he's going to raise himself up in the temple in Jerusalem as God himself, not a disciple of God, not a Jewish believer, but he is going to say, I am God. Again, the Apostle Paul is writing this to the church. He's already told them that we're not going to be here, so you don't have to worry about that. But I believe he's writing instruction to those people, to people that are unbelievers today, so that they can identify who this Antichrist is. He's a man of lawlessness. He's a man of desolation. He's a man who opposes God and all sorts of gods. You know, he's not going to be Catholic. He's not going to be Hindu. He's not going to be Buddhist. He's not going to be Muslim. He's going to oppose all sorts of gods. Do you understand that? And then he's going to say, I am God. It's me. I am God. That's who the Antichrist is going to be. Now going back to verse number 4. So that he takes his seat in the temple of God. What's he going to do? He's going to take his seat. It's called the abomination of desolation. If you want some big words, what does that mean? It's going to be an abomination, in other words, a sin or a blasphemy that's going to bring the destruction to the world. Let me say this to you. The wrath of God's going to come, and especially in the last 3.5 years of tribulation. But the wrath of God's going to come because of what the Antichrist has done. When the Antichrist comes and he gets into the temple in Jerusalem and he raises himself up and he says, I am God, then you know what? Anybody who's still left here on the earth needs to take note, because it is going to get very, very bad. Those last 3.5 years of tribulation are going to be absolutely terrible. So tell your unsaved friends, you know what? Tell them, you know what? If someday you wake up and I'm not here, I've been mysteriously vanished from the earth, then take note. This is what's going to happen next. Now, let's go back to verse number 4. And he will display himself as being God. This man will have the audacity of saying that he is God. Let's go back into some history. Nero was one of the Roman rulers. Nero had got to the point of time, and it was not much long after the Apostle Paul wrote this, that Nero set himself up and he said, I am God. Many people don't realize this, but Hitler himself was a big supporter and a big follower of Nero in the Roman Empire. That's why the Colosseum in Berlin looked much like the Colosseum in Rome. Now, my time is up for today. We're going to pick up this next week. Will you join us? I hope that you will. God bless you until we speak to you again next week.